Welcome everyone to another Destiny 2 Edge of Fate build video, and today I am doing something that I rarely ever do, and that is play Titan. I definitely treat my Titan like a middle child. I never show it any type of attention, but Bungie went ahead and cooked up arguably one of the coolest and most fun exotics of all time in Destiny history, and that is the brand new exotic gauntlets, the melas penoplia. I hope I'm saying that right, but yeah, this thing, once I saw in the early streams before Edge of Fate that I could go ahead and recall my hammers, I immediately was like, yeah, the Titan's getting busted out. I need to use that. This exotic feels like a love child between like Johnny Storm and like Thor. It is so cool. In the build today, we're going to be pairing that exotic with the new spread shot hand cannon because it has 1-2 punch on it, and it is very fun and combines very well with throwing hammer. I do have a couple of other options in case people do not have that weapon, because I know it kind of was a rare drop to get. So if you don't have that, don't worry, I do show other options, but we're going to be combining that with roaring flames and sunspots to basically gives ourselves infinite restoration, infinite radiant, infinite damage boost to our solar weapons. On top of all that, we have like 5 different stacking buffs that will add to our melee damage, which will make our hammers do a whole buttload of damage. I have used this build in a bunch of different type of content, and honestly, it kind of works for it all. I have absolutely fallen in love, and who knows, maybe this thing will actually get me to play Titan for more than a couple of days, so we'll see how that goes. But that's enough for the introduction. Let's get straight into the nitty gritty, and let me show you exactly what to run on the build and exactly what the build does. All right, so obviously we're going to be on Sunbreaker, the Solar Titan subclass, and that's just because it's the only one that has throwing hammer. In terms of super, it's honestly up to you. I prefer Hammer of Soul personally. For Barricade, once again, up to you. I prefer Towering Barricade. Jump, up to you. Throwing Hammer, this is, if you're not running this, then what is the point of the build? And then Grenade, you're going to want Solar Grenade, and that's just because it is a great way to apply Scorch. Aspects, you want Roaring Flames and Soul Invictus. For Fragments, you want Ember of Ashes, Ember of Empyrean, Ember of Torches, and Ember of Searing. So now, of course, our exotic of choice is going to be the melas penoplia. I think I said that right. That is the whole point of this video and the whole point of the build. This is the brand new exotic for Titans that came out with the Edge of Fate campaign. Beat it on Legendary, boom, you got yourself some nice exotic gauntlets. These come with the exotic perk called Forge Master, where collecting a fire sprite or rapid solar final blows will make you a Forge Master, which will allow you to recall your throwing hammer. After impacting a target, recall your hammer at full intensity to perform a perfect recall, causing an explosion of forged slag. Perfect recalls and collecting fire sprites extend your time as a Forge Master. So basically what that means is with rapid solar final blows, it's a round 3, I can then throw my hammer and recall it back to me just like I'm Thor. Now, if you watch the hammer right then and there, if you watch it for a little bit, it'll then glow. If you hit the recall button, which is just your charge melee button, and recall it as it glows, it will then create a solar explosion and do an AoE. Now, a couple of important things to note with this is you don't have to actually hit a target with it to be able to call it back. You can completely miss and call it back, but you will not be able to get that perfect recall. And then one final note to know about Forge Master and the whole like perfect recall ability that it comes with. If you look at the timer on my left, you see Forge Master there? Look what happens when I get a perfect recall. It adds around 3 to 4 seconds. So hitting these perfect recalls is going to be very important in terms of AoE and keeping Forge Master up as long as possible. Now for the weapons, we're going to go ahead and be pairing up with the melas penoplia. It comes down to really one thing, and it's a weapon that has 1-2 punch on it. Now, I'm posting this shortly after Arms Week finished, but if you were able to get yourselves one of these spread shot hand cannons, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but this hand cannon, and it comes with 1-2 punch, this thing is going to be perfect for this build. My preferred role, which I did get lucky to get, was proximity power and 1-2 punch. This is going to double dip into making your melee stronger. If you weren't lucky enough to get this, or you didn't farm it enough, or you're watching this too late where you weren't around for Arms Week, a couple other viable options are shotguns with 1-2 punch. A good solar option is going to be the unkillable shotgun, but if you don't want to run that, you can run something like Wastelander. These are just easy craftable shotguns that come with 1-2 punch. Now, if you are going to run these shotguns, as if you're running a kinetic one, make sure you're running some sort of solar weapon as your energy. Zalu's Bane with incandescent is going to be perfect for this build. Just anything that can do good AoE clear as a solar weapon. Now, if you are like me and you were able to get a 1-2 punch spread shot hand cannon, your other weapon in the kinetic slot is kind of up to you. You're going to see in the gameplay, I rarely ever use my kinetic slot. The only time I'll ever use it is when something is out of range for the spread shot hand cannon to hit. I'll just whip that out. So honestly, this slot is entirely up to you. It's kind of the same deal with heavy. There isn't really a go-to heavy. There isn't even really a go-to exotic. You can try out Bastion. I did like that because of its rework, how it boosts basically melees. It gets 1-2 punch, basically just reworded. But what I ended up landing on was Finality's Augur, because we're obviously going to be rotating hammers and throwing a whole bunch of hammers. You can use this exotic to create a turret to kind of do extra damage on top of you spamming your hammer. So now I'm going to explain exactly why you're going to want something with 1-2 punch. And it really is straightforward. Boost the hell out of our melees. If we go ahead and take a look at our hammer on just a base enemy, I have no buffs. If you look in the bottom left, our hammer is going to do 590. Now keep in mind, I do have a high melee stat, so just remember that, but 590. Now, if I go ahead and proc 1-2 punch there, which you can see in the bottom left, that will boost it all the way to 1075. So right then and there, it's basically doubling the damage. Now, if we take 1-2 punch combined with roaring flames, which once again is the solar aspect up here, we're going to get insane damage numbers. Especially if you do have proximity power here, which will boost our melee stat, because once again, I'll explain later, but you want a really high melee stat. If we get all of that working at once, you can get an insane damage number with your melee. So I'm gonna get proximity power to ×3 using my spread shot hand cannon. We're now gonna go ahead and get roaring flames to ×3. Boom. But now we're gonna proc 1-2 punch. And you can see our melee is now up to 2,425. I think that's that. Insanity. That's such high damage. You're going to be able to melt a whole bunch of different things in the game just with one hammer. Now for the mods on the helmet, you're going to want to run hands-on. This is just so we get our super really quick, because we're going to be getting a whole bunch of powered melee kills. Harmonic Siphon and super font. Now for the arms, you're going to want melee font, heavy-handed, and then in the third slot, I'm running fastball, but that's just because I can't fit anything else because I'm running a 3 energy stat mod. But if you're running a 1 energy stat mod, go ahead and replace fastball with impact induction, just so we can get our grenades back even quicker. On the chest piece, go ahead and put melee damage resistance, health font, and harmonic resistance. On the boots, run innervation, weapons font, and solar weapon surge. On your class item, run 2 copies of time dilation and outreach. So basically the whole mod setup is set around one thing, and that's basically creating orbs on melee kills. Grab the orb, get an armor charge, and now we are boosting a whole bunch of our stats. We're boosting how much our weapons will do, mainly our solar weapons. We're also boosting how much our melees will do with melee stat. Our super stats getting buffed, our health stats getting buffed. We're getting a whole bunch of juiciness just from one orb. Something I forgot to mention earlier, but this is also a huge part of the build, is going to be abusing restoration applied from sunspots. We're going to go ahead and be using sunspots plus Empyrean to basically gives ourselves infinite restoration as well as radiant. So if you kill an enemy with an ability, it'll create a sunspot. Walk through the sunspot, we get restoration. But every time that we get an ability kill or a kill with our solar weapon, our restoration is going to get extra time added to it. So we basically, as long as you're not whiffing or like doing anything stupid, as long as you're constantly in battle in the fight, you should have infinite radiant and infinite restoration. If I go ahead and show you what that looks like against live enemies here, we're going to stand in this, basically just keep proccing it. If you look at our health bar, it is never going down. And that is just because of restoration and how strong restoration and healing like abilities are in this game. All right, and then for artifact mods, there's going to be a couple that are actually really useful for this build. The first one mainly being Radiant Shrapnel. This one is going to be huge for you. It basically makes it where anytime you kill a Scorch combatant, which we're going to be doing a lot of because of sunspots and our solar grenade, as long as we kill them with our weapon, it will create a like extra solar projectile that will go and actually track onto a target and causing a big explosion. So that mod is very good. We're going to want Elemental Overdrive. This has been basically a must on every build. This makes it where every time we are picking up one of our fire sprites, our solar weapons will get an increase in damage. We're going to want Elemental Coalescence. This basically makes it where our weapons will have a chance of creating a fire sprite. And then the last artifact mod that is very important is going to be refresh threads. This makes it where every time we pick up one of our fire sprites, we are going to get energy towards our leash charge ability. All right, and last but not least, your stat distribution, as high as melee as you can get. You want this because of it'll boost how quick you get your melee, which isn't really a problem for a hammer as long as you're able to go and pick up your hammer or recall it once again using the exotic. Your melee energy doesn't really matter, but we want to boost how much damage we're doing as much as we can. That's why we're running, well, if you have it as an option, proximity power to boost our melee stat. We're also running melee font to boost our melee stat. So we want this as high as possible so that we're doing as much damage as possible. Now after melee, it's kind of up to you. My stats aren't really the best right now because I don't really have the best armor on Titan, but going into grenade or going into super aren't bad options. Grenade is great because that's a great way to apply Scorch, which will be a great way to get fire sprites, which will be a great way to proc Forge Master very quick. So going into grenade's nice, and then going into super is always nice because we are in a huge super meta right now. So that is always a great option. But yeah, that right there is the whole build. I think I covered everything and I hope I explained it well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down below in the comments. I'll either try to answer it or hopefully someone else reading it will be able to answer it for you. But yeah, now we're going to get into the live gameplay section. All right, so we're going to be going into the solo ops, the conflux, and with the modifiers I have applied, I have threaded enshroud, blast, and void threat. We're going to be roughly around 38 light under. All right, so the way I like to enter fights with this build is I like to throw my grenade, scorch a target, kill them, get a fire sprite from it. So now that we get Forge Master right away, then basically from there try to kind of swap between getting kills with my 1-2 punch weapon that also has proximity power and getting melee kills. So I keep roaring flames up at all times, I keep restoration up, I keep radiant up, and I keep 1-2 punch up and proximity power up as much as possible so that we're keeping our buffs up as much as possible. One thing to note too is when you're using Forge Master, there is a very loud and clear audio cue of when you have the perfect like recall option, and also when you actually get Forge Master available to use. As long as you're doing everything right, you should also have a big supply of grenade energy up at all times. And then you also, I mean, I don't have ammo right now, so it's probably not the most opportune time to bring it up, but also try to create, if you are using Finality's Augur like I am, try to create turrets that will help you as much as possible. Man, I really hate imp swarms. I haven't really seen any like opinions on it on Twitter or like any type of social media, but I hope I am not the only one that find that type of enemy very annoying. Okay. Didn't know they throw you right at the boss during this solo ops. And once again, you do get your super very fast with this because of the amount of melee kills you are getting, so don't be afraid to pop it whenever you feel like a bit overwhelmed. Go ahead and pop that again. Let's Forge Master up for a couple of seconds. I am kind of low on all my buffs, so make sure you're just getting kills with your weapons. Wow, that was pathetic. That was bad. Okay. There we go. Much better. Let's not miss up the throw this time. Pop super and just go to town. Boom. Just like that, we are done. Wasn't the most perfect run, but I'll take it. I really enjoy the build. I hope you guys got to understand the exact gameplay loop and can actually see why this Thor Mjolnir exotic is actually surprisingly viable. Because I'm gonna be honest, when they first showed it off in the pre-streams before Edge of Fate came out, thought it was just gonna be one of those cool gimmick exotics, but boy was I wrong, because this thing is extremely fun, but also on top of that, extremely good. So that right there was the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any other changes or any type of recommendations that you would like to add to this build, let me know down below in the comments so that other people can read them and maybe add on to the build for themselves to make it better. As always, go ahead and recommend me different exotics or different type of builds you want me to make in the future for videos. I will always greatly appreciate that down below as well. But that's going to be it from me. All you fine ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your day.